Grissom in the pocket, launching downfield. Mitchell, touchdown, Texas!
You are looking live at the College Football Insiders Show.
You throw it. McCarthy looking, throws deep, got a wide open receiver. Cornelius Johnson sprinting, touchdown Michigan.
Now, here are your hosts, ready to break down this weekend's top matchups.
Let's go. Week 11 college football, baby. Cue that little smirk on your face. Smitty joining us once again. Permanent spot on the show. We have a jam-packed lineup this weekend. How are we feeling, boys?
Trying to get this tweeted out and my freaking Twitter's spinning. It sucks.
Too much news about Jim Harbaugh right now. Everything's slowing down.
Yeah. All right, I just got it posted. 9 more people will watch the show.
Welcome to the show. Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Smitty.
What's happening, boys? Glad to be here again. We're going to give out some good winners this week. I have a good feeling.
Let's talk about your Michigan Wolverines right now. I guess my Michigan Wolverines, too.
I was going to say, you jumped on the bandwagon like 2 weeks ago, so you got to say that, Matt.
You got to hit us with like some breaking news music. Da-na-na, da-na-na.
We can't use anything from the 4-letter network. Anyways,
something.
If you have somehow found this show prior to scrolling anywhere else on Twitter or X, you have found out that Jim Harbaugh, unfortunately, will no longer be able to coach Michigan from the sidelines. That does not mean he can not coach during the week. And Smitty brought up something backstage. Could he potentially coach from the press box? We'll see.
They didn't say.
Just put a little disguise. Do a little, what was that, Bobby Valentine when he got kicked out for the Mets years ago?
Just throw a little mustache on.
Mustache on, get him on the sidelines. Let's go.
He went from Bobby Valentino.
I'm not going to spend much time on the Best Bets recap from last week because it was not good. Check
like
the
Christmas
meme.
Tree.
15 and 17 on the Best Bets right in time for Christmas. That's not what we want. We want to see green, boys. So, anyways, any reflections from last weekend that you want to get out? Anything shocking, I guess? Big win from Arkansas Razorbacks over Q's Florida Gators. Hallelujah. Kenny Guyton has brought some faith back to the Razorback offense. Putting up 39.
Hold it.
That's all I'm going to say.
Florida's defense is bad. So let's not act like we're out here running 500 against some all 86 Bears.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Jaden Daniels does against this Florida offense or defense.
Well, he's probably going to run for 150 and throw for 400.
We'll get into it. Let's talk Michigan, Penn State, the biggest game, the biggest storyline across the board this weekend. The playoff committee kept Michigan at number 3. They take on number 10 Penn State in an 11 a.m. Central kickoff, which I actually think playing in Happy Valley helps because you don't get that wild, they can do a whiteout, whatever. Ooh, big, scary white T-shirts. Anyways, Penn State, this line has not really moved much given the breaking news of Jim Harbaugh. I still see 4.5 out there. So, Smitty, we'll start with you. What are you doing in this one?
Right now, it's. I'm going to just sit back and enjoy the game, and hopefully Michigan goes in there and wipes them out. The thing, you look at Franklin, the numbers are really bad. 3-6 against Michigan, 1-7 versus top 5 teams. The thing with this Michigan team is, in years past, they would just pound the ball. They can do that. But now they got the quarterback that can spread you out and can throw the ball to Wilson, Johnson, the tight end. They got weapons here. What kind of style are they going to do here? Are they going to pound the ball or are they going to try to air it out early on that? I just think it's too much. Again, I really think this is a good Penn State team. Sleepwalking 2 weeks ago against Indiana. Last week, they played really well. The quarterback played well, ran the ball with Allen very well. Singleton did have a very good game. But I just think overall, if you saw them in a big game against Ohio State, Allard, the quarterback, struggled a little bit. I think this is a lower scoring game. I think overall, and I don't care who's on the sidelines coaching this team. I think Michigan will overall just wear them down by the end of the game, and they'll get a win. And I think they do cover the spread.
Q, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my play. I think there's a gray area in the booth that we talked about backstage, but I also think, Michigan could be spiteful here and throw Jack Harbaugh, who's been in big games before. It seems like the team respects him. He's already coached once this season, so, he's familiar with their scheme and he's pretty in-depth with the program. Michigan, one of the best defensive lines because they stay so fresh. They have about 15 guys they rotate through, so that's going to help. I know Smitty said Penn State's a great team. We say that every year. I mean, you go up to Happy Valley, they think they're winning a national title every year. Yeah, they have a good defense, but in big-time games, James Franklin cannot get the offense going. I told you Drew Aller was going to struggle in the Ohio State game. What happened? He struggled. They lost. Same recipe, different ingredients. It's going to be the same thing this week. Harbaugh less, whatever you want to call it. I think there's a chance that he even maybe, if they get into some legal battles, he might still be there on the sidelines for at least one more week. So I'm going to stick tight with the -4.5 here as one of my plays.
All right, let's go over to SEC country. Number 13, Tennessee, is taking on number 14, Missouri. I love Tennessee in this spot. Everybody seems to love Tennessee in this spot. They are winners of 4 straight by an average margin of 27 points per game over Missouri. Talk me out of it, Q. I mean, are we on the right side here?
No, I mean, I'm with you. Missouri had a gauntlet. They had like 4 back-to-back tough games. They've lost 2 of them, LSU and Georgia. I always nickname him Eli Drinknuts. He's got him playing really well this year, but I think they're getting tired. I think they were over-succeeding, and from what the talent they have, Tennessee has a really good defense this year. Tennessee also likes to run the ball a lot, but they can throw the deep ball. Missouri's defense has been giving up some points lately. I think it's going to be hard to have such a good performance. I think defensively they played well against Georgia and then, just got tired late. It's hard to do that back-to-back weeks against 2 SEC teams. I think Tennessee is the more superior talent, the more superior roster. I think Heupel's, had more success. He knows how to do this. And I think Missouri finally starts to slow down and they catch their 3rd loss here. So even on the road, I like the Tennessee Volunteers here. That's my play with you.
Oh, Rocky Top. Smitty?
Yeah, the last 2 years, a lot of points in this series, 66-24, 62-24, Tennessee with it. Not going to be that high scoring this year. Tennessee, a little different. Ball control of Joe Milton. They like pounding the ball, good defense. Mizzou's going to try to speed it up and score some points here. 6-4 the last 10 for Tennessee. They've won 4 in a row on that. Again, I was impressed by Mizzou. I thought they hung with Georgia, just kind of ran out of gas. I think this one's going to be a really tight one. I think you're looking at a 1 or 2 point game. It's a pass for me. It could go either way. That's all I'm going to say. So whoever you like, I kind of like maybe taking a little bit of an upset, not a big upset, but maybe Mizzou to get this one. But I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee wins. It's a pass for me, but it's going to be I think it's a lower scoring, really close football game.
All right. Utah takes on Washington and Heisman hopeful Michael Penix Jr. I love Utah in this spot, coming off a 55-3 thrashing of Arizona State last weekend. I think Kyle Whittingham is a really good coach. This defense is going to be one of the best ones Washington will face all season. I think Washington plus 8.5 is a play. I even put some on the money line. I just think Washington has reached a point where their luck is going to run out. They've won so many close games here where Penix has not played the best, and I think this is a good spot for Utah to grab one on the road. Smitty, I'll go to you. Do you like that theory?
I think, yeah, I mean, Utah has great defense, and I think Washington is a team that they haven't really. Penix has been a little bit slower, like moving the ball here. One of their wide receivers has been out now. Last week, Johnson had the big game on the ground, 26 carries, 256 yards, 4 touchdowns in that game. I think the home field will be tough in this one. You know, the only thing I said on our show Wednesday night is you look at Utah and the team they kind of played that could have that explosive offense was Oregon, and Oregon really went in there and wiped them out pretty good here. I think this one's a little close. I don't know what happened there. Something just popped up on my screen. I apologize. I think this one is a little close, but I think as the game goes on, I think Washington might pull ahead. I kind of like Washington to cover the spread in this one, but it's a pass for me also.
Q.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could go either way. I would lean with you, Matt, on the spread, but I think you're wasting money on the sprinkle of the money line. Utah, I mean, here's the thing. At some point, like, their defense is good. Their offense hangs them up a little bit. You have to – if this game was in Utah, I would sprinkle money line, but it's not. Washington's going to be loud. You know, I think Washington wins the game. I'm confident they win the game, but I don't know if they win by more than a touchdown. But I am against you on the money line sprinkle for Utah. I am with you on the plus 8.5. I think Washington can win by kind of that 4 to 7 range.
Well, that was less than enthusiastic. I was hoping everybody was going to be on Utah with me. Ride the dogs. Let's go. Okay, maybe I can get you on a dog on this one. Ole Miss goes to Athens to take on Georgia. I've got a stunning stat here, though. Big Game Lane is 6-24 against teams that finish in the top 25. He's a lot of bark, no bite. This worries me because Georgia has showed time and time again they don't really care to cover a spread. They don't want to dominate anybody until a big game. And I don't know. I think Kirby Smart shuts the door on Lane Kiffin early. I think their defense is going to be too much for Jackson Dart. I leaned Ole Miss earlier in the week, and then I saw that I could get 9.5 at minus 130 for Georgia. I think similarly to Missouri, even if they keep them close, if Ole Miss keeps it close, I think Georgia will be able to slam the door in the back end. So that 9.5 seemed really good on that line. Give me the Bulldogs here. Q.
I'm with you. I love that number. I wish I could get that number. If I do, I'll lay it with you. Ole Miss almost blew that game up big last week against Texas A&M. If that happened, like, you're playing two different teams. A&M and Georgia are just night and day different. You're on the road. As much as I agree with Lane Kiffin on the incident, the leaked audio, it's just a distraction in a week that you didn't need to have that distraction. It was very planned out. You can tell. I think Georgia figures it out. Last week they kind of stumbled a little bit, but I thought they played really well defensively down the stretch. I think Georgia wakes up offensively and scores pretty handily against a weak Ole Miss defense, and then Ole Miss's high-powered offense gets shut down this week. I love that 9.5.
What about you, Smitty?
Yeah, I'm on Georgia too. I just think they're too big and physical. I think it's a team, if you look at Ole Miss, they played Texas A&M, not the greatest offense. They put up 35 points. Max Johnson threw for over 300 yards. I think you have Beck playing better. They got two good running backs. McConkey's really stepping up now as the wide receiver coming back from injury. I just think this is a really good spot for Georgia. I think they'll throw a lot of points on, and I agree with what Q just said there. I think they'll slow down Ole Miss's offense. Ole Miss's defense just cannot. They're not going to make enough stops in this. This is a good. Georgia's going to punch them in the face. This a high scoring win total, I think, for Georgia this weekend.
In running the stats, I've talked about Carson Beck, how I'm not a huge believer in him all season long, yet they have the 16th highest offensive EPA in college football with ranked number 3 in offensive success rate. They're moving the ball. I mean, they're 6th in passing. He's going to be able to have a day against this Ole Miss defense, like you alluded to. Max Johnson had a day, and I would say Carson Beck probably has a a way higher ceiling there with the athletes around him at Georgia. So let's go Bulldogs.
Hey, did I hear real quick before we go? Did I hear Brock Bowers is going to try to give it a go?
I've heard that as well. I haven't followed up on it. I think the last thing I heard about that was yesterday. But one that I think you're going to have total domination on one side. Dan Lanning hosts USC. You've got Caleb Williams crying, holding his dog. You've got Alex Grinch being shown the door. I don't think USC is in a good place. They're going to battle a very talented Oregon team. Go Ducks. I've jumped on the bandwagon. Bo Nix is the real deal. I think he's going to be able to have his way with this USC Trojans defense. I name the score. I mean, the projections have Oregon winning by about 17 points. I think you could lay the 15.5. I think you could buy it down to 14, which is what I did, minus 125. I just think there's no way in hell Dan Lanning takes his foot off the gas on what is going to be one of the biggest games as far as a prime time. Let's show them what the Oregon Ducks are all about scenario that we've got here. Smitty, I'll go to you. Do you like that theory, or do you think the Trojans have the offense to keep this close?
I think they're going to score. I was looking at this game to be a team point play for me, and I think it was good in either way. I think it was 44.5 for Oregon. I think they'll hit that. I think was looking at a site today. It was 28.5, I believe, for USC, which I think USC will throw some points on, but they're going to give up 50. I mean, their defense just can't stop anybody. But again, what's the motivation now? I just, that 7-3, I just don't see what they're really, I don't know what kind of headspace they're going to be coming into this game. So I stayed off of it. I think Oregon, like you said, I think they're going to throw a lot of points up and they'll blow them out because you need those style points now. And I think they have no problem throwing 50, 60 on this team. A lot of people, I think the over under 73.5, a lot of people I saw like that. I think it's a high score. I think USC will score some points, but I think overall Oregon will really lay it on them. So I think the spread's going to be okay.
I'm going to interject real quick before Q gets to it. But in honor of you, Smitty, I've added team totals there next to the spread down on the inside the line. So the DraftKings had the team totals 29.5, 45.5, which pretty closely aligned with our projections. So Q, with that being said, what are you doing here?
You sold me. I think I'm going to buy down the Ducks. I'm looking at the stats, and I know you have pass yards forced for offense, USC highlighted, but I almost think you could highlight Oregon's as well, only allowing 204 yards, which is top 40 in the country. USC has no run game, and they, in my opinion, I mean, they run okay, but against this defense, they're going to have no run game. But I think Oregon's going to kind of shut down the passing game too. I think they kind of got exposed against Washington. I think they've kind of tightened the bolts there in the secondary. So I think being top 40 in the pass defense is actually going to lock Caleb Williams down. They may let him dink and duck, but I think it's going to be the bend but don't break mentality for the Oregon Ducks. And to have this game at home, they're really going to want to shut the door on Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley and really show their dominance, in this Pac-12 conference. So I put me down for the minus 14 with you. I'm all about it.
All right, one that I think should be lopsided, but I cannot figure it out. The projections only have Alabama winning 7.7. They're going to Lexington, and Mark Stoops is – let me find this. Mark Stoops is 1-9 against top 10 opponents in his last 10 matchups, being outscored by an average margin of 26 points a game. Do the Wildcats have a chance to pull the upset over Alabama, or do you think, Smitty, that Jalen Milroe, Nick Saban has figured this out and they are going to be a legitimate contender for the college football playoff and win out?
Yeah, I jumped a couple weeks ago on a little pizza money ticket on Bama to win the national championship. I've liked this Bama. I've said for weeks about Milroe. I really like him. I think he's really starting to settle in. This is a team that's now last two games they've covered the spread. They've won by double digits. Keep pounding the ball. Defense playing well. Now with Kentucky, it's a team that started off okay. Now they've struggled a little bit. Got a win last week, but against I don't think a very good Mississippi State team. Leary again, 18 touchdowns, 7 picks. The INTs have been a problem. Also, I saw listed as maybe an eye injury for him. So let's keep an eye on that. I didn't really dive into what type of eye injury it was, but that's another thing. But I think he's going to turn the ball over. They're going to try to pound the ball. I think Bama, you got Chattanooga coming up, then you got Auburn. And if they get those, win this week, get those two, they're going to be in the SEC championship game. So I really like this Bama team. So let's roll Tide.
Q.
It's a stay away for me. It's one of those games I didn't really have time to look at this week, so I don't want to put too much on it. I think you could see Bama kind of slow down on the road in the first half and then make their halftime adjustments that Saban's done really well this year and kind of pull away late. But this is also a game that Kentucky probably has no business covering, and I could see Mark Stoops somehow finding a way to cover it late, being at home. It's just a weird line based on the projections that we have. It's a stay away for me.
I do think the team total, and I get that our projection is only 28.3, but Bama's team total at 29.5 seems a little low. Kentucky's not really a world beater on defense. I'll go to you, Smitty, for the team total expert here. You think there's I mean, if Alabama's going to cover the 11, surely they're putting up at least 31 points, right?
I looked at this one. This was one that was on my in my notebook, and I held off on it. I went in some different directions, which I'll give out here in a little bit. But I think you're right on it. I think they get over the 29.5.
I really don't see a scenario where Alabama covers and they don't put up at least 30 points, but we'll see. All right. We talked about them earlier. We added Arkansas and Auburn just because this line is so close. I actually have projected Auburn to win this game, even though Arkansas is a short favorite at home. The numbers are going to be a little skewed because Kenny Guyton's offense looked way better than Dan Enos's did for the previous games. I don't really have a dog in this fight as far as a betting sense. I'm going to be in attendance here in Fayetteville. So I hope Arkansas can continue this momentum and get the win. But Q, you saw it firsthand last week. I mean, is Arkansas legit now, or did they just face a really bad Florida team and kind of got a little lucky?
I think both. I think they're better than the Enos offense. I'll definitely give them credit for that. But if you really watch the Florida game, Florida looked horrible on defense. They kept trying to tackle a 260-pound quarterback by his shoulders, and that's just not going to happen. They just got, tape on the offense that Kenny Guyton's got. Auburn's going to be a little more prepared, and if Florida just tackles low on Sanders and KJ, that game's different. I mean, Florida missed an extra point that should have won them, and they missed a field goal that should have won it. So, yeah, I mean, credit to Arkansas. They won last week, but they shouldn't have. That's a stolen victory. I think Auburn's a little more prepared. There's going to be some regression, like I said, because you have them on tape now. But it's a stay away. It could go either way. I just don't think that Arkansas is going to put up almost 500 yards of offense.
Smitty.
Yeah, this is a play. I'm on Arkansas money line. I liked what I saw last week. I think the team's more motivated now. Get the ball to Sanders. KJ again, get him running a little bit. I agree. Q said this on shows. I don't like his accuracy much as a quarterback, but get him moving a little bit. I like the direction of the offense. I think Auburn again has a pretty good defense. A lot, I think it will be a little lower scoring. They're not going to go up and down like they did against Florida, but overall, I think it's a tight game, but I like Arkansas at home. I think they're going to get the win.
I play the over 47.5 in this one. I think Hugh Freeze will have something dialed up for Arkansas. He just saw him last year when he was at Liberty, and Liberty beat us in Fayetteville. So I really do think they'll be able to move the ball against Arkansas's defense, even though that's kind of been the lifeblood of the program here through all the troubling times. But on the flip side, I think Guyton is going to come out. They've got to make a statement. The last time they were at Razorback Stadium, they scored 3 points, and that is totally unacceptable. I think they opened the playbook a little bit more this week and put some points up against Auburn. But going to another team that could put up points in a hurry, LSU hosts Florida coming off a home loss to Arkansas. A lot of sharps actually like Florida in this one, catching the 2 touchdowns. Q, I'll start with your Gators here. Do you give them a chance in hell against LSU and Baton Rouge?
Nope. I think the over will hit pretty easily because I think here's the thing: Florida's offense isn't bad this year. I'll go back to it. Graham Mertz is having a hell of a year. I hope he comes back next year and teaches DJ Lagway because I think he's had a hell of a success. Trey Wilson looks great. Pierce Hall, ETN got the ball. LSU's defense might not be able to stop us for 21 points. They're not that great, but they can score, right? Jaden Daniels is playing. Florida's not going to be able to stop him. If they can't tackle KJ when they gave him 96 yards, oh my God. I mean, I could see Jaden doubling that, in the blink of an eye. So defensively, I think Florida's just going to give up probably 45, if not more. But Florida's going to score 38 or 28 to 35 themselves against an LSU defense that struggles. So I like the over, and I'm actually going to add that to my play. I know it's not going to be on the best bet sheets, but if you're listening, take the over 65.5. I think it hits pretty easily.
Smitty.
Yeah, this was both these teams. I looked for team points. I looked at LSU, and on mine, it was 39.5 earlier this morning. And I was going to pull the trigger on it, and then I stayed off. But then I kind of looked at Florida too, because I agree with Q. I think Mertz, I wasn't high on him, but I agree with everything Q just said there. I think he's having a great year. I like both their running backs. I think they're going to be able to move the ball because LSU can't stop anybody. Now, Daniel's coming off a concussion, so we'll have to see, can he finish the game, doesn't get hit, and can stay in there. He's going to put up numbers. This could be a high-scoring game here, so I think Q's play is not a bad one. I kind of like the Florida maybe team points over. If you're looking at it right now, Matt has it at 24.5. That might not be a bad play. I think Florida scores over that.
All right. Anything else in this week 11 slate that you guys are looking at? I think I've said all of my plays except I did parlay Alabama and Michigan in a money line parlay. I don't really want any part in laying the 11 or 10, whatever, with Alabama, but I do think they will cover. So I played it safe, put them in a money line parlay, and then Michigan. I just think, what we talked about earlier, James Franklin, he can't win the big game, even if Harbaugh's not on the sidelines or in the press box. I just think this Michigan team has been waiting all season long to show that they are good. They've played a weak schedule. I get it, but they've beaten everybody handedly on their schedule. That's really all you can ask. So I think Michigan gets the outright dub in Happy Valley. Smitty, you got anything else?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to play the real ugly game of the week, the JV Monday Night Football game, Rutgers, Iowa. I saw today it was down to maybe 27.5. How aren't you jumping in on this game? I can't wait for this.
I'm just going to crack open a beer.
Crack open 5 beers and watch that one. But here we go. I'm taking money line. Iowa -1. I jumped on that. I'm going to play that game, and I can't wait for this. I did play Arkansas money line. How about Miami of Florida against Florida State? I'm going to take a chance with the +14. I'm going to take a chance with the Hurricanes in this one to try to keep it close. I don't know. I might be way off on this. I've read a couple things that I like. Van Dyke can't turn the ball over. Had 3 picks last week. Can't do that again in this, but let's take a chance. I'm going to roll that. Now, team points. I have 3. I gave out one last night on Twitter, which was a winner, Southern Miss. I'm 17-13 on these for the year. I'm going to go Appalachian State against Georgia State. If you look at Appy State the last 2 weeks, they've scored 48 and 31. Georgia State's given up 44 and 42. So let's take over 28.5 on that one. I'm going to take Texas team points over 31.5 against TCU. If you look back the last 2 games with a backup quarterback in, they've scored 35 and 33. TCU the last 2 weeks, 41 and 35 points. Yours is back. I think they're going to score some points. I'm going to go Troy against Louisiana Monroe. I think they're going to put some points over. I got the over 33.5 on that one. I think they'll lay it on them pretty good.
All right. We'll recap those in just a minute. Go get your crown. because it's time.
No, I
for
got
the
plays.
teaser.
I
Hang
got
on.
plays.
I'll let you go through them once we get the best bets up.
All right.
Grab your crown, Smitty. All right. Best recap. I couldn't put this up and then blow the teaser down there. So go through your teaser leg. Let me hear what you got.
Should I start again since I haven't missed one yet?
Yep.
All right. Hey, let's go South Florida at home against Temple. Temple is not a very good team, especially when they're on the road. South Florida is a team that can put some points on the board. You get them down to a pick 'em. Trust me, they're going to win the game. I keep saying it every week. I keep repeating myself every week because it's been so good luck. So let's keep doing it. South Florida will win the game. Let's go the Bulls.
Q. You're going
back to the well.
Horn.
Listen,
I think Q, real quick, I think Q's like a secret Nebraska fan now. He loves this team.
It seems that way. He's been on them like 3 weeks in a row.
Sorry.
yeah, 3 weeks in a row, but I think this is a perfect bounce back. I mean, Matt, you jump on them last week and you cost them another win, so just go ahead and stay off for the rest of the season. But they bounce back. They're playing a Maryland team that is bad the last 3 weeks. That's a team that started hot. I don't know what happened. You know, maybe Mike Loxley should just not sit on the field. Maybe that's with this team. I told you Penn State was going to kill them last week. It happened. They've already lost to Northwestern the week before. Now they have to go to Lincoln, where Matt Rule probably has them fired up after losing to a god-awful Michigan State. You get to come back home and potentially become bowl eligible. Sign me up for Nebraska +9. I got them later. Stay tuned.
All right. I took North Carolina down to -6. They're playing a Duke team that's going to be without Riley Leonard, which means they're playing a Duke team that is going to be without an offense. I don't think Mac Brown slips up again. I think North Carolina is just going to be too good. They'll be able to do what they want with the ball with Drake May. So covering the touchdown should be pretty easy. So, Smitty, you went through your plays. Q, you have the floor.
Yeah, I actually got a better teaser spot with Nebraska +10. I got him with South Carolina. Vanderbilt's playing a backup quarterback. They say A.J. Swan's available if needed, but that Vanderbilt team's atrocious. They have to go to South Carolina, who I think they're trying to play for their head coach's job here. If they lose this, I think he gets fired. I don't see them losing the game, frankly. I think they even covered the 13.5, but I like them in a teaser spot. I got Nebraska plus the 3.5. It's a little juice, but I like them, and I'm probably going to sprinkle in the money line. Last I saw was like plus 106, plus 108. I don't think Nebraska loses to Maryland. I think Maryland loses their 4th game in a row. Again, I just told you they're coming back after a nasty loss. And Colorado is my other play. You know, we're kind of opposite on it. Arizona, credit to them. They're having a hell of a year. Fafita has really stepped in and probably taken Delora's job, if not made it very tough for next year. I'd imagine Delora probably comes back for one more year if he has eligibility. I think Colorado keeps it within 10.5, though. I could see this being a 7 to 10 point game, and you kind of cover at the end. Colorado, I think, is really trying to get back on track. You get a tough Arizona team, but you get them at home. I think that's a difference maker. I think Colorado, you know, they're a little chippy in practice, which Dion likes. Gets those guys fired up. I think you can get a backdoor cover. I think it's a high-scoring game, but it's that 7 to 10 point loss for Colorado, so I like it. And then I got a SEC plus Wisconsin parlay. I just don't see Bama, A&M, Georgia, South Carolina, or Wisconsin losing. Wisconsin's playing a nasty Northwestern team. They are at home, so I like that. I already told you about South Carolina, Georgia. A&M, man, they're playing Mississippi State, who is terrible, and then I think Bama gets the win against Kentucky.
And you heard all my plays earlier, except for the Arizona-Colorado game. Fafita, you alluded to it earlier. They're 8-1 against the spread, averaging 33 points a game. This Arizona Wildcats team is legit. I love rooting for them. Plus, it's like the Pac-12 after dark games, I feel like, every week. So who doesn't want to bet the late game? So I took the over in that one. I think Shadur Sanders is going to be able to put up points. You know, they gave play calling duties to another guy for the Buffs, and I don't think they played very well last week. I think they do respond this week and are able to put up some points against Arizona. But like I said, Arizona can put up points themselves. So we'll hope for a over and I guess a close cover for Colorado, just so Q can win a bet.
Hey,
But
what did you get the Oregon minus 14? Because you're going to add it right now on the air. I am taking Oregon. I can't even find it. Stall somebody.
well, Smitty, do you have anything else to wrap up the show?
No, I was just going to add, I did see they booted Sanders, the quarterback's vehicle on campus the other day. So there we go. Q, did that give you some time? I'm trying to give you little tidbits that I've seen. So that's what.
Okay. Oregon minus 14 is minus 135. I'm on it.
Fair. All right. Well, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. Good luck this weekend. Go cash some tickets.